Good morning, good afternoon, whichever time of day you're watching this video. This is a continuation of our electrical and lighting lesson, and we're going to talk about receptacles and switches on this one. And as you see on the screen, I have a single receptacle. It's really just one plug, and this is the wall plate that covers it in the wall. These are kind of rare. You don't see them much anymore. Used to, you did. Older buildings might still have them. It's represented by a circle and a single line, horizontal line drawn through it and kind of sticking out with a tail on the other end. This is a duplex receptacle. It basically is two plugs, and this is the plate that covers this on the wall. This is very common. You probably see quite a few of these in your home. It's represented by a circle and two horizontal lines that extend through it, and then tails stick out the other side. This is a double gang duplex receptacle, and basically it has two duplex receptacles inside of it. This is the plate that covers it on the wall. This is how you represent it. Two circles with horizontal lines, and basically it's two duplex symbols side by side. Excuse me. And you can actually get these up to, I believe, 4 gang. I know I've seen 4 gang. I have never seen anything bigger than that, but you never know. So anywhere from 2 to 4. And of course you would represent it with the appropriate number of symbols. This is a range receptacle. Range receptacles are behind your stove in the kitchen. Usually there's only one in a home, represented by a circle, and then 3 horizontal lines with tails sticking out the left side and an R down the bottom right. This is a dryer receptacle. Looks a lot like the range receptacle, just a little different. And there's actually different configurations of these. But this is what would go in your laundry room, used to plug your dryer into. And it's basically represented by just a normal, everyday 240 volt symbol. Circle with 3 horizontal lines drawn through it with tails sticking out the left side, but no letters or numbers down here in the bottom right. Ground fault circuit interrupter, or GFCI receptacle. This receptacle is used anywhere that there might be or might come in contact with water, such as bathrooms, kitchens, garages, patios, places of that nature. And what it is a safety device. It has a circuit breaker built in it to where if it comes in contact with water and causes an electrical short, then it will trip. The circuit breaker inside of the receptacle will trip and prevent fires and also save lives. And again, kitchens, bathrooms, patios, garages. It's represented by a circle, 2 horizontal lines, and the letters GFCI down below it. A single pole switch is just a switch that controls one light fixture from one location. It is represented with an S and a line down the middle. You notice on a single pole, it just has one in and one out. A 3-way switch, which is used to control light fixtures or fan fixtures from more than one location up to 2 locations. And it is an S with a line drawn down the center and a 3 in the bottom right hand side. And you can see it has 3 poles on it for, these are in and out electrical connections, and then a ground wire. This is a 4-way switch. This is used for controlling light fixtures or fan fixtures from more than 2 locations. So if you want to control from 3, 4, or 5 locations a single fixture or a group of fixtures, a bank of fixtures, then you would use a 4-way switch. And again, it is an S, line down the middle, and a 4 in the bottom right hand corner. This is a weatherproof switch. And it's basically any kind of switch you want to, anywhere from a single pole to a 4-way switch with a weatherproof cover on it. And this is what you would see on an outside switch, if there was an outside switch. Okay, now this is what it looks like in AutoCAD. This is what your your outlets and your receptacles and your switches look like. I've just done one room. I did the living room on this design. And let's talk about the different symbols we have here. We have our duplex receptacles. Okay, now I would actually have more in this room than just those 2. But these are duplex receptacles. I made these at about 6 inches in diameter. You might want to step it up about to about 9 inches in diameter. I said 6 originally, but 9 is fine. 6 or 9 is perfectly fine. But place those where where they're going to be most convenient. And there is a code that governs these, and that is, and it's written very confusingly in the code, but it says you cannot have any more than 12 feet of space that is without a receptacle. So within a 12-foot space, there must be a receptacle, and you must have a receptacle within 6 feet of any obstruction. And the obstruction is referred to, or what they're referring to is with obstructions is corners, doorways, doors, things like that. So really, the rule of thumb is to my rule of thumb is to put a receptacle on every single wall in a room, at least one. And then if I have like a really long wall, I'll probably put 2 and space them out kind of evenly. I might go back and double check and make sure that I don't have any 12-foot space without a receptacle. So you don't have to go and measure each individual one. Just place the receptacles where they look like they're going to be most convenient. Then kind of double check on any long walls to make sure that they fall within a 12-foot span. Typically, a lot of people say 8-foot span, and 8 foot's great because that's really going to be more convenient to have more receptacles. And today, in today's world, we have a lot of stuff to plug in. So anyway, those are receptacles. Make sure that you follow those rules when it comes to receptacles. These switches, now this switch is a 3-way switch. It should be a 4-way switch. I made a mistake and put a 3-way switch there. But as you see, I have 1 and I have another 2 and a 3rd switch controlling these recess cans. And I should have a 4-way switch because I have more than 2 different locations. And the 3rd location was really more of an afterthought. Placing your switches, a lot of your switches are just going to be regular single pole, so there's going to be like an S with a line through it. Then you might have a few that are 3 and 4 pole. To make that symbol, you're going to use a tool called a Spline tool. Go into the draw panel. I use the Spline Fit Tool. And let me go ahead and change layers here real quick. And that's one thing I did too, is I created new layers for my switches and receptacles all on one layer, and then my wires on another layer. So go into the draw panel and click on Spline Fit Tools, the one that I like to use. You can try the Spline CV control vertices, basically is what that is. You can try that one to see if that works better for you. I use Spline Fit, and you're just kind of drawing an S shape. It doesn't have to be perfect in any shape, form, or fashion. As you look on a lot of plans, none of them really look perfect. So let me try that again. And with the spline, you're just kind of moving and kind of clicking in different locations wherever you're going to make curves. Okay, so you want to be able to shape it, and that looks like a pretty decent one right there. And then of course you just put a straight line through it, a bit smaller than this one. When I made this one, I basically created a 9-inch circle and drew the S within that 9-inch circle, and then deleted the circle and just kept the S, made this S with whatever symbol might be down in the bottom right hand corner, such as a 3 or a 4, and I just made a block like these right here. That's a block. Okay, don't make them that big though. All right, so that is switches. Now, as far as any codes governing switches, one is that they must be on the open side of the door. So as you're coming in this front door, it is on the right because the door opens to the left. I don't want to put switches behind the door because then you won't be able to get to them when you come in the room. You need to be able to walk into a room, reach over on the open side of the door, and find the switch. The location of the switch, there's no specific location as far as distance from the door. I typically put mine within about 6 inches of the door. I don't even know what I have this one in. It just looked good right where it was at, and I've got it, well, actually about 8 inches, so I'd probably want to bump it a little bit closer. Other than that, the only other code that governs that is the height on the wall for which they are placed. And I believe, I don't remember exactly, I believe it's between 4 and so many feet. Basically kind of chest level for an average size person. But actually look on the PowerPoint. Now I'll have the code on the PowerPoint, and you'll be able to see that. So next is my wire. Again, I created a separate layer for that, and I used the Spline Fit Tool to make that wire. The wire starts at the base of every switch, or at least one switch, starting at the base of the switch. And then you draw through the center of all the fixtures that switch is going to control. And because this is a 3-way switch, it actually goes over here to another switch. Okay, now these should be 4-way switches because I added another switch to control from right here coming in from the kitchen. So that again should be 4-way switch, but I do have my switch going through the fixtures that it controls to another switch that might control it, and then to another switch that might control it. That's how you run the wires. A single pole switch would be pretty much the same way, except for you're just going to run from the switch, a single pole switch, through your light fixtures and then stop at that last light fixture. You don't have to make a complete loop, or actually you shouldn't make a complete loop with any of them. They should terminate. They should begin and terminate at the switches. Okay, so that is your electrical. You may have some questions because I probably left some stuff out. If you have any of those questions, just ask me. We can get those cleared up.